Alright YouTube, how's everybody doing? Well, the little man on my shoulder keeps tapping me and saying, record this, make a video, because somebody might need this info on this Land Rover 97. I tell you what, I've done a lot to it, and let me do a quick walk around here on the inside. Since when I first got it, it was trashed. I've done a lot to it. I mean, just tons. I probably got $1,000 into it, but it's a beast. It runs really good. Even got the air conditioner working, although I have a small leak. But what I'm doing today, oh, by the way, if you're outside in the sun, wear a white t-shirt. That sunlight reflecting off makes it feel much cooler. Started with a black t-shirt, and I said, nope, can't do this. So put a white one on, and I feel much more comfortable. All right, so what we're doing here today is shocks on the front of this. Sometimes, and Jeeps are very famous for this, the death wobble. You hit a hole, and the front wheel just starts shaking, and your steering wheel starts doing this, and it's kind of scary. Typically, it's a sign that you got a busted strut or a shock. On my case, I have struts. I actually have shocks. No struts on this vehicle. And we're replacing them, so what you got to do, I'll just give you some tips here, and I've kind of got part of it here done. Make sure you jack it up under the frame. Don't jack it up under the front axle, because the whole idea is you want this to swing down as far as it'll go. I got my little safety jack there. Then on the top, you have to come up here, move this air cleaner stuff out of the way. Very easy to do. And 18 millimeter nut here. Get this off top of the strut there, the shock I should say. No struts. Let that go down, and you can see there's the top of the bolt on that shock. Then you got to go down here on the bottom, and you got 4 of these bolts here that hold this tower on right here, which is kind of an interesting design. 2 on this side and 2 on the back right there. Then you knock this out of the way, and I'll have to grab my hammer real quick. Alright, so we got our hammer. Now, I was a little apprehensive about this. I was worried about not getting those out of there, but I put oil on them, and he came free pretty good. So go ahead and just kind of knock this out of the way. Free it up a little bit. And I think we can go on the top and pull it straight up. Pretty much. There we go. How about that? Interesting little guy, huh? This one's actually in pretty good shape. You know, I was talking to a guy the other day, and he said, you know, I've got this sold. A guy wants to buy it, and I let it go for $1,000. I broke even on it. But a guy told me, he said, if I park this thing out, I can make twice that on it, which I believe him, because it's got the good motor. It doesn't have the 2000 to 2005 motor where the sleeves come loose in the engine. This is the good motor back in the 90s they made. So the motor and tranny, all-wheel drive system worked great. Just a little side note. All right, so we got all that out of there. There's the top of the old shock. So now the only thing I have to do is go on the bottom, and I've got to get this bolt there out. I'll see if I can put my finger on it right here. The bottom of the shock, and there's 2 other little nuts right there on this side and one on this other side that I have to take off, which is right there, and I've got them oiled. Once I get those off, this whole spring assembly and shock will come right out. So I was a little worried about getting this out of here. I thought it was going to be a mega job, but it turned out it's not too bad. So, you know, maybe 50 years from now, somebody on YouTube will come back and look at this video, or maybe 100 years from now, I don't know. I wonder if YouTube will be around 100 years from now. Let me know what you think. I know I won't. So, I'm going to go ahead and get those 3 bolts out, and we'll go ahead and yank this out. Of course, I'll set this camera down to do it. This is my little cell phone, so I'll be back here in a few. Alright guys, actually, I thought I was going to have to do 2 more steps, is what I'm trying to say, but the one step I just did pretty much gets the shock out. Get you a big old pipe wrench and grab that shock right there so it doesn't turn. And on this bottom bolt down here, it has to be a 17 millimeter. Don't try to use anything else. I tried 15s and 18s. I thought I'd never use my 17s, but it's a 17 millimeter nut. And once you take that off down here, it'll come off. Now what I did, I put this on her like this and held that and just turned that pipe wrench, turned that entire shock and got this loose. And like I said, put oil on it. It will help you get that out of there. And that's how I'm getting this shock out. I thought I was going to have to take these other two nuts out there with this retainer for the spring, but we don't need to take the spring out, so those can stay. So the beauty is, by taking that strut off, the shock there on the top will allow us to pull this whole shock out. So let's go ahead and pull this out of here. So this may not be too bad. I actually may go get some lunch early today, so there's a look at it. So, not sure which one was bad, but I'm going to replace both of them, and I should be rocking and rolling here pretty soon. And we'll get our bushing and our washers out of here real quick. And that's basically all there is to it. We'll go ahead and clean this up a little bit and start putting everything back together, and have it pretty much done. So when I come back here, I'll have this shock in, and we'll go ahead and start bolting this tower back on and finish this side up. And I'll do the other side, but I'm not going to show you that. But I just wanted to show you, if you want to replace your shocks on the front, they're not as bad as you think. So we'll be back. All right, there's a look at our new shock. It's on there, pretty good. Wasn't too bad to put on. Now to tighten this nut up on the bottom, right to that shiny nut you see there on the bottom of that shock, you may have to briefly take your pipe wrench and kind of hold this a little bit. Just snug it down real good, and you can see where the bushing is there on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. And up on the top, drop the shock in. Got this started, and you just set the tower on there and kind of finger tight your little 13 millimeter bolts there, nuts. And it really helps if you have a jack. Just take a secondary small jack and lift this whole axle assembly up, and this will push this shock all the way up through the tower, where you can put everything back together. Now beware, when you're buying shocks, sometimes these don't work quite like the factory ones did. Now if you have some of these good ones, you may have to reuse them. Sometimes when you're buying shocks, they're just a little bit different. For instance, the old shock here, this end is longer than the end on the bottom there, where it goes down there like that. So I had to do some rigging and shorten everything up a little bit so I get the nut and bolt on there to be able to tighten it down. But you know, you can figure it out. Pretty easy to do. So it's all together. So all I'm going to do now is tighten everything up and replace the other. Actually, there's one more on that side and one on the back. Back ones are real easy to do. So I just want to make a quick video for you guys and show you if you're going to do shocks on a Land Rover, especially 97. Not too bad. There's some tips and some suggestions there in the video on how I did mine. So thanks for watching, guys. Until my next video, see you then.